In 1997, a sound rose through the Pacific so powerful that sensors thousands of kilometers apart recorded it. It began as a low, widening signal, then faded into the background of the ocean. For years, its source was unknown. The name given to it was the Bloop. But the Bloop is only one kind of ocean mystery. Elsewhere, a ship carrying more than 300 people vanished without a distress call. A sonar image produced a strange shape on the floor of the Baltic Sea. And beneath the waters near Japan, a rock formation looks so architectural that researchers still argue over what they are seeing. These are not stories about sea monsters. They are stories about incomplete evidence, recordings without a visible source, wrecks that have never been found, and natural structures that resemble human design. Some mysteries have a strong scientific explanation. Others remain unresolved because the decisive evidence is still somewhere below the surface. This is an investigation into 7 real ocean mysteries, beginning with the sounds that travel farther than any human voice. The ocean is difficult to investigate for a simple reason: most of it is dark, cold, pressurized, and moving. Light disappears quickly below the surface. Sound travels much farther, but sound is an indirect witness. A hydrophone can tell researchers that a signal arrived, and sometimes where it came from, without showing what produced it. That limitation creates genuine uncertainty. A recording may be precise while its interpretation remains provisional. A sonar return may reveal an outline without revealing scale. A historical ship may disappear in a storm, leaving only a last position and a list of people who never came home. So in each case, the important question is not whether a mystery sounds dramatic. It is what was actually recorded, what has been tested, which explanation fits the evidence, and what remains missing. The Bloop was detected in the summer of 1997 by the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's underwater listening system. It was an extremely powerful, low-frequency sound. Because it was recorded by sensors separated by thousands of kilometers, the source had to be enormous or unusually efficient at transmitting energy through water. That scale encouraged speculation. The recording was sped up for public playback, making it sound like a living call. But the original signal was not a voice, and there was no verified observation of an animal at the source. NOAA compared the Bloop with signals created when large icebergs crack and fracture. The match was persuasive. Broad-spectrum icequakes can be loud enough to travel across ocean basins, and similar signals were later used to track the breakup of iceberg A53A near South Georgia. The leading explanation is therefore not a creature, but moving Antarctic ice. The mystery was solved in the strongest scientific sense available. The original iceberg was not photographed at the exact moment of the sound, so the source cannot be reconstructed like a crime scene. Yet the acoustic signature, location, and later comparisons all point toward cryogenic activity. The Bloop is a lesson in how an unknown signal can become a known natural process. Unlike the Bloop, the Upsweep is not a single famous event. It is a recurring train of narrowband sounds that NOAA began recording in 1991. Each signal rises in pitch over several seconds. The source can be roughly located in the South Pacific near an area associated with volcanic seismicity. The pattern is seasonal. It became stronger in spring and autumn, and its overall level has declined since the first recordings. NOAA still detects it on hydrophone arrays. That persistence is what makes the upsweep more interesting than a one-time noise. The ocean appears to contain a repeating source that can be heard over enormous distances. Researchers have a leading hypothesis. The sound may be connected to volcanic processes on the seafloor, where cracks, magma, or hydrothermal activity create vibrations that couple into the water. But the source has not been directly observed, and the seasonal pattern is not fully explained. This is what an unresolved scientific mystery looks like. The signal is real. Its approximate location is known. Its behavior can be measured. Yet the final step, identifying the exact physical mechanism, remains open. On March 1, 1999, NOAA hydrophones detected another powerful underwater sound. It lasted around 15 seconds and was given the name Julia. Its source direction pointed toward the Antarctic region, but the recording alone did not show what happened there. The sound was unusual because it was strong, broad, and long enough to cross an ocean basin. It was also a reminder that the deep ocean is full of events that no camera is present to witness. An iceberg can fracture, scrape the seafloor, or shed a large section of ice beyond the view of any expedition. The Antarctic explanation is plausible because icequakes produce exactly this kind of acoustic energy. It is also supported by the way other cryogenic signals have been identified and compared. But plausible is not the same as directly witnessed. Without a simultaneous visual observation, the recording does not prove the precise event that created it. Julia therefore sits between explanation and uncertainty. Scientists can describe the most likely family of causes, while still acknowledging that the original source was never filmed. The ocean keeps evidence in different forms. Sound may survive when images do not. In March 1918, the USS Cyclops left Barbados carrying manganese ore. The large American collier was bound for Baltimore. It carried a crew, passengers, and a cargo so heavy that the ship's condition has been examined ever since. The Cyclops never arrived. No confirmed wreck, distress call, or reliable final message was found. More than 300 people disappeared with the ship, making it the largest non-combat loss of life in U.S. naval history. The absence of a radio call turned the sinking into a legend, later attached to the Bermuda Triangle. But the historical record is more complicated than the legend. The ship was heavily loaded, the cargo could shift, the vessel had known mechanical concerns, and the North Atlantic and Caribbean can produce dangerous weather. Naval historians have considered structural failure, a sudden storm, cargo movement, and other possibilities. None explains every detail because the central piece of evidence is missing, the wreck itself. The vessel has never been conclusively located. The Cyclops is not evidence of a supernatural zone. It is evidence of how uncertainty grows when a large ship vanishes before modern tracking systems. A likely explanation may exist, but without the final physical record, the case remains genuinely unsolved. In December 1872, the merchant brigantine Mary Celeste was found adrift in the Atlantic. The ship was seaworthy enough to sail, its cargo was largely intact, and there was no confirmed sign of a struggle. But the captain, his family, and the crew were gone. Their lifeboat was missing too. The ship's last known voyage had begun in New York with a cargo of industrial alcohol bound for Genoa. The Mary Celeste was later discovered between the Azores and Portugal. Investigators considered piracy, mutiny, foul play, and alcohol vapor. None became a proven answer. Modern analysis focuses on ordinary but dangerous possibilities. A leak or pressure event involving the alcohol cargo might have frightened those aboard. Rough weather, a temporary loss of confidence in the ship, or a mistaken decision to abandon it could have separated people from a vessel that then survived without them. But the surviving evidence is too thin to choose one explanation with certainty. The Mary Celeste demonstrates the difference between a famous mystery and a solved mystery. Later retellings added ghosts, blood, and invented details. The primary record is quieter: an abandoned ship, missing people, and several plausible scenarios that cannot be tested because the witnesses are gone. Off the coast of Yonaguni Island in Japan, divers encounter a vast submerged formation with terraces, straight edges, and broad steps. It was noticed in 1986 by a local dive operator looking for hammerhead sharks. To some observers, the site resembles a sunken monument or the remains of a lost settlement. The question is not whether the formation looks artificial. It clearly looks unusual. The question is whether appearance is enough to establish human construction. Marine geologists have pointed to the area's sandstone bedding in sets of natural vertical fractures. Earthquakes, erosion, and changing sea levels can produce planes and angles that resemble architecture, especially when viewed underwater. Other researchers, including Masaaki Kimura, have argued that some features suggest modification or construction. That interpretation remains controversial. No widely accepted body of artifacts, inscriptions, or human occupation evidence has transformed the formation into an archaeological site. The most responsible conclusion is that Yonaguni is a real and striking geological formation whose final history remains debated. It may be entirely natural, or humans may have interacted with parts of it. What the evidence does not justify is presenting a lost civilization as established fact. The mystery is valuable precisely because it tests how easily the human mind sees design in nature. In 2011, a Swedish diving team reported a strange sonar image from the floor of the northern Baltic Sea. The shape appeared circular from above, with a raised outline that some viewers compared to a spacecraft or a submerged structure. Images spread faster than the underlying evidence, and the anomaly became an internet mystery. The first complication is technical. A single low-resolution sonar image is not a photograph. It can be distorted by angle, resolution, shadows, sediment, and the way the instrument processes echoes. Follow-up observations did not provide a clear, universally accepted object matching the most dramatic interpretations. Geologists have proposed that the feature could be a natural glacial deposit, a rock outcrop, or another ordinary seabed structure. Divers reported unusual rock textures, but no confirmed archaeological complex or spacecraft material has emerged. The Baltic itself has a complicated glacial history, which makes natural explanations plausible. The anomaly remains a useful case study in evidence. A strange outline is a prompt for investigation, not a conclusion. What is known is that an unusual sonar return was reported. What is not known is exactly what produced every part of it. The gap between those statements is where responsible mystery storytelling has to remain. Across these 7 cases, the evidence falls into different categories. The bloop has a strong physical explanation supported by matching icequake signals. Julia is probably cryogenic as well, but its exact source was never directly observed. Upsweep is a recurring measured signal with an unresolved mechanism. The Cyclops and Mary Celeste are historical mysteries shaped by missing witnesses and missing wreckage. Yonaguni and the Baltic Anomaly are interpretation problems. The visual or sonar evidence is real, but the leap from unusual shape to human design is not established. That distinction matters. A mystery does not become more credible because the most dramatic theory is repeated. Scientific uncertainty is not the same as proof of the extraordinary. It means the evidence does not yet select one explanation with confidence. The ocean makes this especially clear. Instruments can detect events beyond human sight, but every recording has limits. Maps can show a shape without revealing its origin. Archives can preserve a last known position while losing the people who could explain what happened next. The deepest ocean is not a blank space. It is a place where evidence arrives incomplete, a sound without an image, a ship without a wreck, a shape without a clear history. That incompleteness can invite myths, but it can also invite better questions. The most compelling mysteries are not the ones that refuse every explanation. They are the ones that show us exactly where explanation ends. The bloop teaches that an impossible-sounding signal may come from ice. The Cyclops shows how an ordinary storm can become unknowable when the wreck is never found. Yonaguni and the Baltic Anomaly remind us that seeing a pattern is only the beginning of investigation. There may be no single secret hidden beneath the waves. There may be thousands of small, physical events waiting for the right sensor, the right expedition, or the right piece of historical evidence. Until then, the ocean keeps its unanswered questions in motion, below the reach of ordinary sight.